Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom, back to you. Hi, everybody. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, and Shabbat Shalom to everybody online. We have a lot of people.
Early.
You're almost going to outnumber the people in the room tonight. I gotta tell you, they're waving to you. I know you can't see them because you could see me, but you can't see. We can see you, but
I see a little one, a tiny little box. Hi, everybody.
now that's not gonna work. Try it up here. If your God is my God and my God is everything, aren't we all part of one God? Let your God be my God and our God be everything. Oh, we'll all know we're all part of one God. So open up your heart to all the lost and lonely. Let no one be alone tonight before our one and only, before our one and only. So it's not a complicated song. The words aren't in the songbook, but you can kind of get the idea. Sing along. If your love is my love and my love is everything, aren't we all part of one love? Let your love be my love and our love be everything. Oh, we'll all know we're all part of one love. So open up your heart to all the lost and lonely. Let no one be alone tonight before our one and only, before our one and only. If your heart is my heart and my heart is everything, aren't we all part of one heart? Let your heart be my heart and our heart be everything. Oh, we'll all know we're all part of one heart. So open up your heart to all the lost and lonely. Let no one be alone tonight before our one and only. So open up your heart to all the lost and lonely. Let no one be alone tonight before our one and only, before our one and only, before our one and only. Shabbat Shalom. We are a small but valiant crew tonight, and strengthened by all of you watching online. Thank you very much for being with us. We're going to begin with lighting Shabbat candles. Our candles will be lit this evening by Janet Ellis Milder. Please turn to page 3.
As these candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light. So may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Lie, 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 yai, lie, 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 lie. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Let's begin our celebration of Shabbat with sharing simchas. Simchas are good things that happened to you during the past week. Who's got a simcha from the past week? Anybody have something from this past week?
We went to see two of our children, and my mother and my brothers and Larry's brother.
So Janet says we had a family tour seeing two of our kids and Janet's mom. Other simchas from the week. Simchas, Trish?
So the last couple of weeks has been Camp Bubby, and the good news is it was Camp Bubby, and the other good news is Camp Bubby ended this morning.
Trish said the last 2 weeks, this is a big session, the last 2 weeks have been Camp Bubby for her. Other simchas from this week, Liz?
Our daughter celebrated her 31st birthday last Sunday, and we took her to go see Into the Woods last weekend.
Okay, so Liz's daughter celebrated her 31st birthday, and yes, Beth?
Yeah, I was just going to say, as I was telling Deb here, it was for us seniors last Shabbat. It was a luncheon get-together here, and it was just the most lovely time, sitting and visiting with old friends, a long time. People I had known for 40 years and people that I've met much more recently. It just was just such a lovely afternoon. Shabbat,
So-
in, the best sense, wonderful food.
Beth, Simcha was that last week. We had a seniors luncheon here that brought people together who hadn't seen one another for quite a while. And Jason, probably some stuff online, right?
The floodgates are open here. Let's see. Rena, for the first time in about 2 weeks, had a negative COVID test.
Rena had a negative COVID test. That's great.
Ivan's bike group came down to visit.
Ivan's bike group came to, they biked down there, Ivan?
They also went on vacation with their daughter and her family.
Ivan and Elise went on vacation with their daughter.
Wedding anniversary.
Who had the 46th?
All Elise and I.
Elise and Ivan had a 46th wedding anniversary. Great.
Skylar is visiting with her parents, so Peter can go to a license plate convention.
Skylar's visiting with her parents. I think that's the Simcha. Peter went to the license plate convention. I don't know about that. Okay. Page 8 in the prayer book. Please read with me. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. One of the Psalms that's traditionally recited on Friday night is Psalm 92, and there's a lovely setting for that in your songbook with English lyrics on page 34 of the songbook. On this the day of days, my lips shall sing your praise, for I know that you'll always be here surrounding me. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. My spirit takes release. I close my eyes in peace, and from my soul heard far above springs a song of love. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. I wish to understand the wonders of your hand, for all the blessings that are mine rise from your design. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulzamer l'shimcha elyon. Was that Hunter singing along? So I think that that's a sign that this is a good time for a baby naming. So we are pleased to be able to celebrate with Matt Wolf and Belle Peng and their son Hunter as he receives his Hebrew name. So if you'd come on up here, please, with them. They have to unpeel him first, yes. Yeah, we look for the right moment in the service for a baby naming. Oh, and he's got a kippah. Look, why don't you come over on this side, okay? You look great. Our God, these joyous parents stand here to voice the longings of their hearts in prayer. Give them the wisdom to teach their child to be faithful to the heritage of the household of Israel. Keep open the eyes of his spirit, that he may ever be conscious of the beauty and wonder of your world. And let him learn to love the goodness that is in each man and woman, that he may nourish the goodness implanted within him. Though none can escape sorrow and pain, we humbly ask for him the courage to face evil and the ability to transcend it. Grant him health of mind and strength of body, that he may enjoy fullness of years and live his life in fullness of spirit. And we're going to alternate paragraphs here.
Source of life, our hearts are filled with joy for the new life which has been entrusted to us. Not with words alone shall we voice our thanks, but with our striving to rear our child with love and understanding and tender care.
Bestow your blessing on our child, that he may grow in strength of body, mind, and spirit. May he learn to love all that is good and beautiful and true, to be a blessing to society and a joy to himself.
May our child find his way in the paths of Torah and good deeds as a loyal member of his people, always faithful to the covenant.
And now a prayer for you. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, V'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah. Hu yivarech et hayeled hazeh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishmerehu v'yateh et lev hayeled lalechet b'darchei yosher, v'hi Adonai imo. V'yitein lo dea bina v'haskel chayim v'chesed v'racha v'shalom. V'yizku horav legadlo lechancho v'lechakmo l'Torah lechupa u'lemaasim tovim v'nomar amen. May the one who blessed our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and our mothers Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless this child with life and health. May he be a joy to his parents. May he live to bring honor to the house of Israel and blessing to humanity. And now, in the presence of loved ones, we give to this child the name to be known commonly as Hunter Jun Wen Wolf, and to be known in Hebrew as Hanan ben Matityahu Avraham. May it become a name honored and respected for wisdom and good deeds. May God's blessing rest upon him now and always. And would you like to tell us anything about his name?
Oh, yeah. So his name Hunter is, he's named after my grandmother Hortense, who was a huge part of my life growing up. She had huge, delicious Shabbat meals every Friday, and I used to stay over every night, and then she'd make challah French toast, and then we'd go out to lunch with the whole family, and so just great memories. And she was a very strong member of the community as well, helping to start the JCC in Richmond, where I grew up, and just a very, very large figure in the Jewish community. So we hope that he can follow in her footsteps. And so both his English and his Hebrew name are derivatives of hers in her honor.
And Jin Wen, I got the meaning before, but you want to tell us the meaning of the name?
Yeah, the name simply means talented and literate. We hope that he will both be talented and literate.
I am sure he will be.
Very
I am certain of this.
directly translated.
Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God's light shine upon you and be good to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's presence always be with you and grant you the gift of peace. Let us say together, Amen. Will you join me in a Shehachianu? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehachianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. We praise you, God, sovereign of the universe, who has given us life and sustained us and brought us to this time of joy. And we all say together, Amen. Will you join me in wishing Belle and Matt and Hunter a hearty mazel tov. Mazel tov. And here's a certificate, so you've got a record of his name.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Mazel tov. Always a joy to be able to celebrate a name. Let's continue in the service, in the prayer book on page 26. Let's see if I got the right one here. I'm sorry, I'm doing the second service tonight. Page 145. Page 145. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba B'al madivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael Bagala uv'izman kariv v'yimeru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam ulol me'ol maya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitroma v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah Le'elamin kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damihiran mi'alma, v'yimeru, amen. Baruch hu et Adonai hamivorach, Baruch Adonai hamivorach, le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hamivorach, le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. Page 147. We read responsively. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravi. Well, I'd like to share a poem with you by Rich Orloff. This is really, you might think of this as a poem about seeking God. It's called A Psalm of Reluctance. Sometimes I think that my reluctance to believe in God is nothing more than adolescent spite. A scoop of, you can't make me believe in you, in a cup of, I'm in control here, with a dollop of, if you're so divine, why aren't I happier? It's as if I'm saying, I'll believe in you if, as if God might say, I gave you the heavens and the earth and the miracle of life, but that's not enough. Here's another $50. Now are you satisfied? What anguish I have caused myself in my relationship with the divine. I'd love to scapegoat God and bring God down to size. Beneath it all, I yearn for God to say, I'm sorry. Although I suspect that if God ever did apologize to me, I'd be awestruck or possibly just embarrassed that God called my bluff. Perhaps I'm simply afraid to leave the solitary confinement of my ego and let myself be released into the unknown. It's like I want a prenup before I'm willing to have a relationship with the divine and say, yes, I will give you my love. Page 149. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod, Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod, Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Page 150. Let's read the English together. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus shall you remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Page 151. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound. Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul. When will redemption come? When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves. Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. We learned God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate this power that makes for freedom. Let's continue on page 155. I invite you to rise for the Amidah. Ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da. Adonai, Sifatai Tifta, Ufiyadi. Tehilatecha Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Ufiyagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Lemad Shemo Bi'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'ezrat Sarah, atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Meimid, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. Page 160. Let's read together May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. Page 163. For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks. For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise. For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful. For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being. For all these things, O Sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot. The next prayer in the service is Shalom Rav, great peace. And I thought in place of the traditional prayer, I would sing something with you that has a bit of Americana in it in recognition of July 4th. This is by Woody Guthrie and Arlo Guthrie. And I'm sure you will pick it up and be able to sing along easily. My peace is all I've got that I can give to you. My peace is all I've ever had. It's all I ever knew. I give my peace to green and black and red and white and blue. My peace is all I've got that I can give to you. My peace is all I've got. It's all I've ever known. My peace is worth 1,000 times more than anything I own. I pass my peace around and round through hands of every hue. My peace is all I've got that I can give to you. Okay, now you know it. It's easy. You got to say it with me. My peace is all I've got that I can give to you. My peace is all I've ever had. My peace is all I've ever had. It's all I ever knew. I give my peace. I give my peace to green and black and red and white and blue. My peace is all I've got that I can give to you. My peace is all I've got. It's all I've ever known. My peace is worth 1,000 times more than anything I own. I pass my peace around and round through hands of
my peace is all I've got that I can give to you.
At this time in our worship, we ask for healing for members of our congregation and their loved ones who are ill. If you are praying for healing of body or healing of spirit for a loved one, I invite you to share that person's name out loud here in the sanctuary, or if you are watching on Zoom, to share that name in the chat. And please share those names for those for whom you're praying as my eyes pass yours.
Karen Holmes, recovering from eye surgery successfully. Susan Sucker. Shirley Dempsey.
Ian Thomas, Karen Holtz, Skylar Cohen, and Mildred Fine.
Ian Thomas, Karen Holtz, Skylar Cohen, and Mildred Fine. To those whose names we have said out loud, we add those whom we hold in our hearts, and we say, Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. We praise you, God, the source of healing. Let us say together, Amen. Let's take a moment for silent prayer. Page 167. Ose shalom bimromav uyase shalom aleinu vel kol Yisrael ve'emeru. Amen. You can add harmonies if you like. Oh, say shalom bimromav huyase shalom aleinu vel kol Yisrael ve'emeru. Amen. I am so happy to invite Trish Monroe to be our guest preacher this evening. Trish has returned from a wonderful trip to Israel that she's going to tell us all about. I'm just going to leave it at that and let you fill us in. Trish.
Okay, I'm just leaving it. Yeah, and the trip was a few months ago, but that's okay. So as a member, I'm a member of BANJO. BANJO stands for the Bay Area Network of Jewish Officials. In case you don't know what a backronym is, now you know what a backronym is. I was given the opportunity to participate in other words, it's something that you get the name first and then you fill in the details. Anyway, I was given the opportunity to participate in a JCRC, Jewish Community Relations Council study tour in Israel this past March. It's been a little while. And I decided to take a little time beforehand and travel in Israel on my own, beginning with celebrating Purim in both Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Tel Aviv one day, Jerusalem the next. Jerusalem is a walled city, so it happens the day after. The first 2.5 weeks, I stayed in Airbnbs, I rode public transportation, I walked everywhere. Ask me about the apps I found. I started in Tel Aviv, where I observed Shabbat with a conservative minyan. That evening, I marched with demonstrators because in Israel, the demonstrations start after Shabbat, only in Israel, just saying, and celebrated Purim everywhere. So I went to, everyone was celebrating Purim, including at Beit Daniel, the Reform Synagogue. And then from there, I went to Jerusalem, and from Jerusalem to Tzfat for my second Shabbat of the trip, a really different Shabbat. Then to Akko, best shakshuka ever. That's the only food reference you're going to get. Haifa, Zikron Yaakov, and then back to Jerusalem, and that's where the other part of the trip started. This was the study tour. And for that time, we stayed in hotels in Jerusalem, in Tel Aviv, and we traveled by bus and we sang camp songs. Our days were carefully planned. We had an average of 4 activities, all intense, along with speakers at most meals, which is why it took me forever to write it all down. We heard many, many individual stories. We visited museums, including Yad Vashem, and also Anu, which is the museum of our people, of the Jews around the world, all of us. Historic sites, we visited the West Bank and a refugee camp, a Bedouin village, and yes, it was a village, and just so much more. Those two halves of the trip complemented each other. Traveling on my own let me see Israel from the bottom up, unmediated by guides and hotels. Traveling with the group gave me access to people and places I could never have met and seen on my own. And so together, I feel like I got an understanding of Israel that I had just not had before. It's not my first trip, it's my third trip, but this was something else. It's taken me a long time to organize what I experienced and learned. I think I'm still doing that. I know I'm still doing that. I felt a real urgency when I came back to write and talk about the trip. It felt like it was just going to vanish if I didn't. It was, in particular, being there during March with that intensity. That was when they shut down the airports. They shut them down as people from my trip were leaving. There was a general strike. That was while I was there. It was an amazing time to be there. So I felt like witnessing and being part of that profound anger that Israelis felt at the idea of subordinating the judicial system, which is the only check on Israel's legislative branch, it seemed immediate. It seemed like it had to be talked about right then. But the reality is, most of what I learned has no expiration date. This isn't anything that's going to stop anytime soon. So, taking that time gave me language to understand and explain, I hope, some of the ongoing questions and issues. And so here are a few. First of all, and I think most importantly, I believe very strong, I'm a very strong Zionist. Israel has the right to exist, and the world has the responsibility to support that existence. So that's one topic. Secondly, how is the Israeli practice of Judaism changing and maybe becoming a little more pluralistic? And then third, there is, of course, the ongoing issue that everyone knows, the Israeli-Palestinian situation, and why that has just no obvious solution and maybe no solution at all, which is really not kind of a downer to end on. So let's start with the first one. I scheduled this trip to coincide with Purim. I wanted to celebrate my holiday in a place where my people, the majority of my people, my people were the majority, and they were celebrating. I wanted to be in a place where costumes and parades and Purim planes were the norm. And what I found in both Tel Aviv and Jerusalem celebrates, well, yeah, I said that, were pop-up costume stores, people of all ages dressed in costumes roaming the streets. Reform synagogue observances that were overflowing with people of all ages, including, by the way, a member of the Knesset. And the taken-for-granted vibe of the whole country celebrating that I get in the U.S. just at Christmas time. I mean, it's like beyond Halloween. Although, of course, obviously, Christmas, Purim, really different meanings. Just, So, to me, the most compelling reason for Israel to exist is that every group has the right to exist as a people with their own language, history, time, food, and more. Purim brought that home to me. I mean, I've known that, I've felt that. This really brought it home to me in a way that felt natural, All of that's possible, is really positive. But on this trip, I felt something else. I felt, and I hadn't realized how much I hadn't been aware of this, but I felt a lifting of the weight of being in the minority and representing the minority. I felt that I could not have to explain myself, and maybe not have to explain myself, but be ready at all times to explain myself should it be necessary. Or not, because in the US, sometimes you choose to be quiet, and that doesn't feel good either. Those situations did not exist in Israel. Other situations did. That one did not. The sense of not lightness was just palpable. So if my reason for being a Zionist comes from my Judaism, from my being a Jew, the guide for the study tour's visit to Yad Vashem provided another equally compelling reason for the rest of the world. And she talked about what happened before the Shoah, where every single country in the world, with one exception, think about which one that is, and it wasn't the US, turned Jews away. Every single country in the world is complicit in the murder of somewhere between 6 and 9 million Jews. And yes, the number has gone up because knowledge. We don't know exactly how many, hence the 6 to 9. Having demonstrated a lack of willingness to protect Jews when death was upon them, those countries should feel a responsibility for protecting Jews in Israel now. Doesn't always happen, frequently doesn't. But I have to tell you, I walked away from Yad Vashem as angry at the world as I've ever been. I've calmed down a little. Turning to the question of Jewish pluralism, let me start by talking about what our guide for the whole trip, Ma'ayen Lashem, talked about. In Jerusalem, as we're walking in Tel Aviv, he says this city was conceived as the Hebrew city. This is what I talked about, why it matters to be the history and the people and a place where you can be yourself. That's Tel Aviv. Jerusalem is the Jewish city. It's a place where Judaism exists, and the difference in those two cities is palpable. One, Tel Aviv is famously Hiloni, it's a secular city, Jerusalem Dati, a religious city. So that's what I've seen in the past. What I saw was somewhat different. Despite all the turmoil going on there, despite all the stuff around religion, fundamentalist religion taking shape there, what I saw was signs that things are changing. So in Jerusalem, the study tour met with the LGBTQ group responsible for Jerusalem's Pride Parade, which is more or less a demonstration in Jerusalem. But our speaker described feeling more at home in Jerusalem, where her practice of Judaism was respected, as opposed to in secular Tel Aviv. In Tel Aviv, we spent Shabbat dinner in a pluralistic Orthodox environment, where that seemed to be making inroads, maybe in a minority, but still. At the same time, my host for Purim in Tel Aviv was deeply worried about the shrinking Reform population. You know, maybe it's just, we're always dying, and if you're a Reform Jew, you're really dying. I don't know. And yet, I'll tell you one last story, and this to me really summed up the difference between my previous trips to Israel and this one. I wear a kippah. I wear it in Israel and in the US for the same reason, because I'm Jewish, and here it's because I'm Jewish, and there it's because I'm Jewish this way. And by the way, in Jerusalem, that did not always go so well. I'll tell you about a couple of yeshiva bookers who really were not so polite. But in Tel Aviv, it was fine. And at the Carmel Shuk, I walked by an artist's booth, and he was shaping, so he was a ceramicist who was shaping his clay, looking very zen. And he asked me, this all took place in Hebrew, mine not so good. He asked me if I were a rabbi. I said, no, just a Jew. He says, datit, are you religious? And I thought for a minute, and I'm like, well, no, I'm not like the Haredim, certainly not. But yes, I am. And so I said, datit liberalit, liberally religious. His face lit up in understanding. I have had similar conversations 13 years prior in my first visit. Absolutely no understanding. It's like, I have no clue what language you're talking about. That to me is a huge change. Now, how pervasive, how permanent, who knows? All right, third question, the hard one. Who owns how much of which land and what solutions are there? And honestly, the hardest thing about this trip is how completely insoluble that problem is. The study tour visited Kfar Aza, a mile from the Gaza border. They're subjected to bombing regularly. Recently, the Gaza Strip has been sending over incendiary balloons designed to look like children's toys, targeting children. I heard that, I thought about my grandkids. I'm ready to go and blow up the entire Gaza Strip. Take me there, I'm there. However, the speaker, who is a woman with children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews in the kibbutz, had a very different response. She said, look, Gaza is a population of 2 million. 100,000 of them are members of one terrorist group or another. That means the overwhelming number of residents are not, but they are living under these terrorists. So what's the solution? You want to actually take out 2 million for the sake of, I mean, I can tell you that Abraham and God would have had a conversation about that. So how do you solve it, though? Do you take down the wall between Gaza and Israel and open it up to the 100,000 terrorists? Leave it? Let the current oppressive situation continue? There's no answer. There is no answer. The West Bank's even more problematic. Abbas is old. When he dies, the next PA government is almost certain to be more hardline. The refugee situation's impossible, and the new generations, I mean, the polling that's been done, which we got data on, more likely to favor violence than the previous generations. Right-wing Israeli settlers are building largely unsanctioned, and given the current government, not much opposition at all. The wall may be effective, maybe not, is a symbol of Israel as an oppressor, and certainly contributes to the division. And, then there's the situation of, we know from all kinds of research, Philip Zimbardo, Stanford, to cite one, that when you put people in a one-up, one-down situation, they act according to their roles. Doesn't mean, do you want to be the oppressor, or do you want to be the oppressed? You put in the role, you get that role. What can be done? Again, I have no idea. Neither did anyone else we talked to. No one saw much, I don't want to say it's hopeless. I believe there's always hope. But no one saw a solution. No one. The only signs I saw, having said that, were those who were working to improve living conditions on the ground, educate, build individual relationships. And maybe from these small efforts, there will be some solution that will come from it. But it is as complicated and as intractable as it comes. Anyway, that's a taste of what I learned. I'm happy to share more. But go without preconceptions, see as much as you can, take public transportation, see who you can. Go to Haifa too, my favorite city, even though it wasn't one of the places I stayed in a hotel. And really enjoy. It's a wonderful place, I loved it. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Trish. Thank you for both your spirit of realism and of hope. So two things that aren't always combined. I just want to check before I run through announcements. Is there somebody who's on to give announcements tonight? Absolutely, Liz, please. Please. Here, I have a few crib notes for you. I'll give you dates.
Shabbat Shalom. I am Liz Suffet, VP of Adult Education and Programming. Yeah, that's pretty much what I had in my head, so we're good. Tour study tomorrow at 9 a.m. There is not a first Saturday Shabbat service this weekend. It's pushed back a weekend when there will actually be a bar mitzvah, which is pretty cool. There is an outdoor sing-along at Havdalah out on our courtyard on Saturday, July 15th, 7:30 p.m. We'll do Havdalah, we'll sing, we'll nosh, we'll drink, we'll play instruments, come and with whatever instrument or your voice, as you will, or just come and have a good time. Shabbat at Camp Newman is Friday, July 28th from 4 to 9 p.m. You're encouraged to get in touch with Camp Newman and go up there to experience Shabbat with, dozens of just wildly happy kids. But they say if you have a child in that session, I don't think this applies to anybody here, but if you have a child in that session, please don't go, because that kind of disrupts the flow. The High Holy Day Choir will be starting rehearsals starting Thursday, August 3rd through mid-September, 7 to 9 p.m. on Thursdays. Membership renewal is underway. You should have received both hard copy and it's online, so please look at our website. And we are accepting applications for religious school teachers, so see the rabbi or Judith for that. I will give you a little heads up that August is going to be full. We have so many things in the works for August. There's like practically 2 things every weekend. It should be great. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Liz. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue with Aleinu on page 282. We are going to sing the first Aleinu on that page. And I invite you to rise. Nope, that will not work. That's better. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, l'tei gdula liyotzeh bereshit, shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz, u'moshav yikaro b'shamayim yimal, u'shchinat zo b'govhei meromim, hu Eloheinu eino, v'anachnu korim, משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא הקדוש ברוך הוא. Be seated. Page 287, let's read together. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. Judaism teaches us the sacred duty of memory. On this Shabbat, we remember those members of our congregation and their loved ones who have died within the past 30 days. We observe Shloshim for Nettie Brenner, Irma Schachter, and Joseph Schachter. And we remember those whose yahrzeit occurred during the past week. I invite those who are observing yahrzeit to rise as I recite their names. Connie Baker, Hyman Chavinson, Rita Freris, Dorothy Grossman, Saul Jobrack, Dora Lampert, Thomas Lazinski, Fortunata Louise Malpelli, David Rothman. And I invite all those who are observing the first year of mourning to rise at this time. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. We rise as one congregation, united by memory and compassion, to praise God's name. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mivarach la'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudishah b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechmata, da'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Let us say together, amen. You may be seated. Following the closing song, we'll join together in the back of the room for Kiddush and Motzi. Thank you to David Silberman and Caitlin Silberman for hosting our oneg this evening. And closing song. So when you go in the back of the room, pick up a cup of wine or grape juice. I'll tell you the red cups are wine, the white cups are grape juice, and we'll join together in the blessings. And page 321 for Adon Olam. Sorry, I do not have an Americana Adon Olam. Sorry, I just could not find one. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'chefetzo kol azay malek shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levadoyim loch torah ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh ve'hu yeh b'tifara. Ve'hu echad ve'ein sheni lahachshilo lahachbira beli reshit beli tachlit velo ha'oz v'ha'misra ve'hu eli v'chai go'ali v'tzorchev li v'yitzara ve'hu nisi u'madnos li v'nachos li b'yom ekra. Ve'im ruchi gaviyati Adonai li velo ira Adon olam asher malach v'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'chefetzo kol azay malek shemo nikra Adon olam asher malach v'terem kol yitzir nivra le'et nasa v'chefetzo kol azay malek shemo nikra.
Shabbat Shalom. And Shabbat Shalom to everybody online. So glad that you were able to be with us this evening. Shabbat Shalom.